and defence companies, but you can see they have also turned red as those concerns over the region continue. Let's talk now to Cornelia Meyer, who's in Bern, in the Swiss capital. She's an independent energy consultant. She's got a lot of experience of dealing with companies and oil producers. And Cornelia, give me a sense, first of all, about the importance of the region, because that is why there is so much concern. A third of the world's oil from there, and any turbulence, any unpredictability there really does send shockwaves through the market, doesn't it?
Well, yes, it's a third of the production. It's 48% of oil reserves. It's 18% of gas production. And that's important, especially for Europe, as we've weaned off Russian gas and are importing more LNG, and we're getting the LNG, a lot of it from Qatar, and 40% of gas reserves. So yes, it is material. But mind you, we have seen these spikes whenever something happened in the Middle East, and these what I call geopolitical premiums were fickle, because as soon as things calmed down, fundamentals or perceptions or also algorithms trading oil kept it lower again.
Yes, and talk to me about the infrastructure in that region, because it's one thing, the production, it's the other, getting that oil out to where it is needed. And we know the Straits of Hormuz, of course, a really important strategic waterway. And once again, concern about production getting through that narrow gap is really important.
Yeah, it's really important, but let us look at it that way. Iran has probably no interest in doing anything on the Strait of Hormuz, because its oil production, its oil exports, which is about 1.7, its production is 3.4 million barrels a day. Its production is 1.7 million, exports us 1.7 million barrels a day. They also have to pass mainly through that waterway. So that's fine. But there is infrastructure. There's infrastructure in Saudi, infrastructure in UAE, infrastructure in Iran and Qatar. And mind you, some of these oil fields and gas fields are shared between Iran and other countries. The biggest example is what the Qataris call the South Pars field, the Iranians call the North field. And that is one of the largest gas fields in the world, and that is where the Qatari LNG is produced.
And that's sort of on the production side once again. Let's talk about the role of the oil cartel OPEC in all of this. It has the power to turn on or off those taps, doesn't it? And what will their response be to any unpredictability in that region? Do they have the ability to be able to provide more to the market?
Yes, they have the ability, and because they have had so many production cuts in recent years, they have actually quite a fair bit of spare capacity. So they have a very important meeting today, which is the Joint Ministerial Monitoring Committee, known as the JMMC, where ministers from OPEC Plus, the OPEC alliance, and the other 10 countries that are in that alliance, monitor what's happening in the markets and compliance. At this point, they were supposed actually to put more oil on the market as of October. They've postponed it because the oil markets were really very sluggish to December. Given what's happening, we can assume that they will certainly put the extra barrels on the market by December.
And this is not the only thing they're contending with, albeit a big concern. Of course, at the start of the week, all eyes were on China and waning demand there, and that was affecting the numbers. So, paint a picture for us, if you will, Cornelia, of, what OPEC, what the producers will be looking at right now when it comes to stabilising the market and crucially, the price.
Well, absolutely. And I just have to add here that OPEC does not really stabilize the price. Its mandate is to make sure that markets are adequately supplied. And China was indeed the big worry. And China was also the worry behind a lot of the financial money, a lot of the hedge funds going short on oil, the lacking demand. But we have seen over the last few days a whole slew of measures in China coming out geared at advancing the economy, at stimulating the economy. So we expect things to pick up slowly in China. So we can see that demand is picking up. Demand is certainly there in the US. Demand is picking up in China. Europe is sluggish.
Cornelia, always good to talk to you. Good to get your insight on a day like this. Thank you. We will talk again, but good to have that update. Cornelia Meyer there joining us from Bern in Switzerland. Let's take you now to the United States. That's where